welcome along to the Rugby Pod. Big Jim and Gertie are back again, and Beer 52 are on board again this week. How'd you enjoy your beers, boys?
Oh yeah,
I've got them. I've got the box in my hand in my studio / garage. I came in yesterday to drink them, and my wife Rebecca thought we were doing a promo video and it was a joke, but it wasn't. I was actually meant to be in there all day yesterday, being Sunday, and I've not had one yet. Is basically the crux of it. But I've got them here. I've had some before anyway, but this is a fresh box, fresh batch. I can't even wait, pal.
Are you in trouble, Jim?
In what way?
Well, you called your wife Rebecca, so obviously you've done something wrong to use the full name, or maybe she's done something wrong.
No,
normally it's Beck.
Mate, no, mate, we're good. In the good books, we've just been out for dinner, mate. Eat out, or whatever they call it. Eat out to
help out.
Eat her out.
Help out. Eat out. Who knows what it is, but we were out. So anyway, Beer 52. Couldn't take them with me yesterday or today, but they're ready. I'm here.
Beer 52, it's a British company, and they're passionate about the UK craft beer scene. And if you sign up now, you get a free 8 beers, a case of 8 beers. You just got to go to beer52.com/rugby and just cover the postage. That's the word beer followed by the number 52.com. And don't worry if you change your mind, because you can pause or cancel your account at any time. So just head to beer52.com/rugby and get your 8 free beers. How's your week been, boys?
Yeah, very good. Very good. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm in Portugal. I'm on holiday. Taking the family away.
Honest being the one. Yeah, just got there, just arrived.
Well, they dropped the air bridge, didn't they? Well, sorry. Well, they created the air bridge from Portugal. So, yeah, we were straight out here, we were. But, yeah, we've had a great time so far. I've been hanging with a true Scotsman, Jim, you'll be pleased to know.
Who?
A man that speaks his mind on television, a man that is honest, like my good self, when it comes to dissecting rugby, but he dissects football. Graham Souness, what a lovely man.
Never heard of him, mate.
Okay. He's a true Scotsman.
Is he the one that banged the flag in the pitch in Galatasaray or somewhere in Turkey that looked really dangerous? There's loads of flames and smoke on the pitch?
I think so. I
know him.
Basically, there's 2 people I've been hanging with really at the pool. One of them's been making myself feel really good about myself. And the other person, Graham Souness, I think Graham Souness is about 67, 68. He is in unbelievable nick.
White Nashers, I bet, as well.
Well, he's had his teeth done. He's like tops off. He looks in great nick for 67. And then another guy that I've been sat at the pool with, and I might have mentioned this to Jim over private message, but he makes me feel good about myself. He's a very similar man to my good self.
Michael Owen.
I've been at the pool with Michael Owen. And, it's very, very similar characteristics, to be honest. I mean, we've been chewing the fat about sport and, his
Literally.
Yeah, literally. We followed similar paths in our sporting careers. He started off scoring that unbelievable goal for England at the World Cup at 18 years of age in 1998 against Argentina. I scored
Saint Etienne.
Yeah, I scored an unbelievable try for England under-19s against Romania in the under-19s World Cup. So that's a start. Yeah, we both played for big clubs. Obviously, I was at Leicester Tigers winning things. He was at Liverpool. I don't know how much he won at Liverpool, but he scored a hell of a lot of goals. And then we were trailblazers. So we both went out into the continent, followed our path of our journey into Europe. Maybe. And he signed for the biggest club, or one of the biggest clubs at the time, and still are actually, the Galacticos, Real Madrid. And I did a similar thing and signed for Brive in France.
Me whole breath.
So, one of the main things is that we both played at Newcastle. We chatted about the commute. He used to get his own private helicopter up to Newcastle from where he lived near Chester every day.
And you're on a plane, BA, doing the helicopter.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So we're talking about our commutes up to Newcastle. But the main thing we've both got in common, and I'm really pleased about this, is Michael Owen has a dad bod. He has put on a little bit of timber, and we were chatting about how to try and lose it. I said, mate, just lay off the star bars, pal. Lay off the star bars, it will fall off you.
Do you call yours a dad bod? Is that what it is?
I don't know, mate. Well, all I'm saying is there's a lot of dad bods around the pool, and I'm in decent nick compared to a few of them.
I don't believe you, mate. I wouldn't say you've got shit bod and sick bod, and you're trying to say you've got a dad bod.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's been good fun. The twins have been in the pool a lot. Mrs. has been sunbathing. Just having fun with the family, reconnecting with the missus. We get a babysitter in every night. We go out for dinner. Been eating a lot of fresh fish. So my breath might smell a bit like yours, Jim, but I brush my teeth. But yeah, it's been great, mate. Really good.
Yeah, great to hear. Yeah,
great. 3 degrees. How's Scotland, Jim? How is it up there?
Mate, it's cold. The contrast yesterday, there was no Michael Owen or Graham Souness where I am. We were at a kid's party eating caterpillar cake and the kids were eating loads of chocolate and basically got home and projectile vomited all over the lounge because they had too much sugar, even though I told them that they shouldn't have that much chocolate. And, that's it. That's the excitement.
Will they listen to you?
No, they don't. They learn the hard way, mate. They learn the hard way. They're getting up. Dad, I feel sick. I'm like, no shit, without the shit bit. I was like, no shit. But like,
you still said the shit bit then?
Yeah, I know, but that's me saying it to the lads. That's me saying it to the lads. And that's about it, mate. It was that was it. Hey, rugby, I was there, mate. What I'm on about? That was it. That weren't it. Mate, I was at the rugby on Saturday, weren't I? Hashtag
you were
versus Glasgow.
You were, Jim.
BT Murrayfield, mate. Forget the birthday party. Forget that. Exhausted I was, mate. The
After
excitement,
work.
mate. The excitement, the build-up to a game.
Yeah.
My mouth was dry as anything. No water on site. No coffee. I ain't come prepared that way in terms of like food and drink, beverage. I've just gone to do the comms, and I'm that excited. I get to the game, I'm absolutely fucked. But no, there was a lot of excitement around it. Game weren't the best night, but mate, yeah, I've been working Saturday.
So was your mouth drier than Gandhi's flip flop, or?
It was pretty dry. It was pretty dry, mate. Preparation, as you know, I prepared for the game and everything that involved doing the commentary, researching the game. Didn't need to do loads of research because I know the Scottish game inside out. But, mate, it was just, it was too much excitement.
Well, we've got a new sponsor on board, guys, and it might get you both in the good books with your missus. They are called Manscaped, and they've joined the Rugby Pod. They've just launched in the UK, and they are the very best in men's below-the-waist grooming. They offer precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Do you get it?
No word of a lie. I'm going to be upfront and honest with you. It's needed. Yeah. It is absolutely needed. Upstairs in the bedroom, I was told. Sort it out.
Oh, really? She had a word, did she?
Well, there's two ways that dad bod can go. There's dad bod and there's mum bod, but you can't say anything about mum bod, can you? It's just like you can't say anything. So as a dad, you're trying to do everything you can to sort out the bod, sort out the bush. And, I've sorted out the bod, I just haven't sorted out the bush. So Manscaped, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. But
it is.
My wife, for me, I ain't that bothered. But the wife probably is. And she'll be
for you. I wonder how long did it take you to shear through the whole bush downstairs, Jim? Because you said you've let it grow for a long time, mate. So Manscaped, they've come in at the perfect time. We've also got the old ball wipes as well. Keep your undercarriage. The old ball wipes. Yeah, when you buy it, you get the old ball wipes.
And ball deodorant.
Ball deodorant as well, Jim. So you could treat her to the full shebang. And then 5 seconds of enjoyment after that.
Well, after this, I'm going to take the camel by the foot and I'm going to get in the bedroom, in the bathroom, and I'm going to get the ball wipes. I imagine they go on at the end, right?
Well, it's just to clean it up, yeah. But then, you like to do the old courtesy wipe, don't you? So you can now courtesy wipe the rear end and give the front end, the ball wipes, a bit of a wipe too.
I mean, what better brand to associate ourselves with, eh? There ain't one better. There ain't one better. I'd say I was going to do a video, a vlog, or a vlog, or whatever you want to call it, and publish what I'm doing, but I won't. But I will let you know the results and how it's gone down in the Hamilton household privately, next week. I'll let you know. And
they've just released the new 3.0 lawnmower as well, so that should help you out when you're in the shower. You can use it when you're in the shower. It's got LED lights as well.
A lawnmower. They call it the lawnmower.
Yeah, they call it the lawnmower.
Jim's is that bad.
Yeah. I tell you what, if they're servicing that and they're calling it a lawnmower, mate, this is me.
And it's got 90 minutes of battery power, so it's perfect for you. Perfect for you, Jim.
Wow. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we could be cut. See what I've done?
It won't cut you.
Cut the grass. It won't cut you. But cut the grass lawnmower for time. We could be cut for time. But hey, I'll let you know. I need to try it out first. I need to let you know.
This is their third generation trimmer featuring a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology and cutting edge ceramic blade that reduces grooming accidents. Just head to manscaped.com and you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code rugbypod. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code rugbypod. Your balls will thank you.
They certainly will. And I love the way it's the quiet stroke technology. I've tried to have a few quiet strokes myself at times, but, this is just brilliant, isn't it? What a sponsor. Manscaped.com. Get involved.
Well, let's have a look at a bit of rugby, shall we? The Premiership was on, but we'll first have a look at the news. Scott Robinson approaching Warren Gatlin to coach the Lions. What do you make of that, boys?
Oh, we've been messaging about it over recent days. Andy Rowe sent me his number, but he didn't reply to Andy Rowe, so I thought
he saw the message, 2 blue ticks as well. No reply.
Yeah. Mate, don't worry, mate. Will you forward me his number, even though I had his number anyway? But I texted him just to see if we could get him on the podcast. But it's built up a bit of hysteria down in New Zealand, of course. Look, I'm a bit of a fanboy of Scott Robinson, right? We had a bit of a dance-off, went viral around the Barbarians when he was coaching them. Love his character. See, I'm talking about all the things out with rugby, right? But for me, that fits in with the Lions and everything that goes with them in terms of they want characters as well. But what a bloody good coach as well. It's a bit outside the box. But from a personal perspective, because we are very good friends, I would love to see him. Does having him on board, and I don't really know if it matters to Warren, does that mean someone else who potentially deserves the opportunity, like a Stuart Lancaster or Gregor Townsend, miss out because of him? But look, Warren's about winning, and if you want the very best coach in the world, Scott Robinson's one of them. So from a selfish point of view, I would love to see my good friend, my confidant, in the mixer.
He'd be a hell of a tourist as well, wouldn't he? Because he likes, a laugh with the boys. You can see the boys want to play for him. Obviously, his dancing would go down after every test match, or every game, actually. So he'd be a hell of a tourist. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? He's thrown his hat into the ring. He's actually employed by, as they do over in New Zealand, he's employed by the New Zealand Rugby Union. So I presume he'd have to get some sort of agreement from them, or say some sort of agreement, complete agreement from them. People over here will probably look at it one or two ways. One, does he know the English players, the Irish players, the Scots? Well, no, the Scots won't be on it apart from Stuart Hogg. The Welsh players. Who knows? How well does he know them? But he would have a fantastic impact. But you're right. Lancaster, for me, 2 polar opposite people. One's an ex-school teacher. One's an absolute legend of a team manager, of a drinker, of someone that knows the crack. But listen, Stuart Lancaster knows British and Irish Lions rugby inside out, having done what he's done over in Leinster recently. Maybe you can take them both. Who knows?
It needs freshening up though, right? I think it does. I think you look at the coaching staff, and we spoke about it, I think, on week 1 of the podcast, which was a couple of weeks ago. It feels like we've been back for ages. And we were talking about Rob Howley, what will he do around him? We didn't mention Graham Rowntree. Who are the other coaches?
Andy Farrell was there last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, so Andy Farrell as well. So
Steve Borthwick.
Yeah, does it need freshening up? I think he probably will. I think he will probably freshen it up. So who knows? I just hope it goes ahead. I hear horrible rumours.
Yeah, I heard them as well. Yeah.
What sort of rumours?
Well, just that it might be delayed, let's say.
Oh, gosh.
But that's not in my mind. I'm looking forward. Rugby's back.
We're going out there with Cooney.
We're going back. I imagine how good I'm going to look by the time we get there.
Well, people won't see the downstairs bit for Manscaped except for Ben.
Well, I can tell them. Yeah, and Cooney's going.
Let's have a look at the Premiership. Plenty of bonus point wins and some big winning margins in the Premiership this weekend. Were you guys surprised by some of the win margins?
No, not really. When you see the teams, and obviously this sort of few weeks that's coming up where there's midweek games, teams are rotating. You saw, take the Leicester game, for example. Leicester, that game could have got really ugly for Leicester. They had a really young team out. Obviously, Borthwick has come in. He wants to test the depth of his squad. He wants to give everyone opportunities. Bath had come fully loaded with their first choice team, pretty much. And you could always see that was going to be a Bath victory. And I think on around 55 minutes, it was 38-6 to Bath. And it could have got horrific for Leicester. But fair play. The young kids, Leicester under 16s, they battled through, showed some real fighting spirit, some determination and resilience that Borthwick would have wanted to have seen, to score a couple of tries towards the end. One of their tries was a lovely try. Luke Wallace's try was outstanding play. And listen, you're going to see mismatches now. You've seen teams rest players. Look, Wasps played Worcester, and we'll get onto some of the games in depth, and it was basically a Wasps under 16s against a Worcester under 17s. But this is the necessity of what we're in now, because of fitting as many games in a shorter space of time to have midweek games, and teams will have to rotate, and I think you're going to see that off the back of it.
Bath looked world beaters though, didn't they? Same way, proper old school. To be fair, they've clearly not been tested. I think they had London Irish first game, and then obviously Leicester, like Goody said, a second/third/kids team went out. But Bath looked very good.
It did.
Looked very good. Looked really physical, and but who knows? I'm the same with Goody. Like, it's difficult to get a gauge on it, but yeah, I was impressed with Leicester, so I'll piggyback what Goody says. Piggyback. And the fact that they didn't implode. And I still saw a few traits that I thought looked good. And look, they've got a great academy system and all that, and I do still think the future looks bright, but ultimately it's about winning. Whether or not that win comes anytime soon, we shall see.
And Exeter were too strong for Sale as well, weren't they, boys?
Oh, God, Exeter look good, don't they? They look good. And that was going to be the tough game for them, weren't it, going up to Sale? Like Goody said, loads of noises. We were making the noises, beep, beep, just before with the players that they've got. I tell you what, right? Again, if we're speaking frankly, having looked at the games, and I think Exeter, Goody mentioned it last week about that great try that they scored with Hogg in the corner, Devoto with the ball out the back, their evolution in terms of their back play, Sale don't look like they've got anything else apart from Route 1 China Chief, which worked when we saw Manu getting on the front line. And again, without sounding harsh and without trying to make comparisons between Ranrandra at Bristol in the centre at 13 and Manu in the centre for Sale, is what he offers out with Route 1 China shows the evolution of rugby, right? Shows actually the difference between off the scale good and Manu, which is world class good. And it just did, I didn't watch all of the Sale game. I watched highlights. I mean, there's so much bloody rugby on at the weekend, but it just seems like they're going Route 1. It worked for Bath against Irish and Leicester's kids at the weekend, but against Exeter, who have added a few other layers in terms of their attack, obviously Hoggy at 15, and these kind of things is, mate, I don't know, are Sale struggling?
Well, this is the thing. I was going to say it myself. You took the words out of my mouth, Jim. They've got the one way of playing, which is bash and crash, and they've got a massive team. But once that gets stopped, where do they go? So they haven't got the ability to, I don't think, to play another way. And then, do the players understand how to change the way they're playing? Is that down to the coaches? And it's a big question mark, because ultimately, Steve Diamond's made a lot of noises over lockdown, hasn't he? They've signed Tuolangi. They're talking about a new stadium, filling it. Here's one for you. If they don't go so well and they're slipping away from the top four, they play Wasps on Tuesday. And Wasps have got a strong team playing.
Wasps are struggling though at the minute, mate.
Sale will make a load of changes. Then I think they've got Bristol's next weekend, where that's a real test for them. The question marks then become around the coaching department, and he's got everything he wants now. Dimes, he's spending up to the salary cap, as he said.
Are you calling for a coach's head after
No,
two games?
I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm not at all. Well, I'm just saying that there has to be some question marks at some point. And the tough thing for Dimes and for the people at Sale, the owners, etc. We had Simon Orange on here. Dimes is a shareholder of that club, so he owns a percentage. I don't know, maybe around 15% of the club. So how do you sack him? Or how do you say, listen, we need to make some serious changes if things don't go the right way? So we'll see. Watch this space. Hopefully Sale improve, because we've talked him up. We want to see Manu do well. But you're right. I don't seem to see how they can have another way of playing at the minute. And hopefully we're proved wrong, as sometimes we are on it, Jim.
Well, we can have a chat now with the man who skippered Saints in their win over London Irish at the weekend. England back rower Lewis Ludlam joins us. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good. All good. Good to be here.
Lewis, mate, thanks for having you, mate. It's been a long time coming. Skipper, we should say, at the weekend. I need to clear something up first. Delalio mentioned it on comms. Mate, let's just talk about one instance from the game where you sprint into the corner. There's about 8 people. Mate, you've done the right thing, mate. You've gone to jump them. Imagine the screenshot photo, the photo finish, if this try would have been given, eh?
Yeah, I'm not quite asked to Wala, but looking back on it, I think he probably showed me how to do it in the end. But it's probably that forwards mindset, wanting to run over people.
Mate, it's good, mate. But how was it for you as captain at the weekend? Obviously, Saints, quality team. Obviously, gathering momentum. We've had a few of the guys on the show before. Goody speaks highly of Boydie being coached there. But how was it captaining, a team that you've been at for so long?
Yeah, it was madness, really. I mean, I've never really something I expected. If you would have said a couple of years ago, I would have been captain in my childhood side. I would have told you were crazy. So yeah, something that is a little bit unexpected. But I mean, when you've got a team like that, and I mean, most of us lads have known each other since we were 14, 15, playing with each other through the academy. So it didn't, in all honesty, feel too different to a normal game, apart from doing the toss and making the calls on the pitch. My job was made easy really by the boys I had around me.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously it's your club from being a youngster, and you've rose through to prominence really quickly, actually. And we've seen, we saw from your England debut. We spoke about it on the podcast last year. How much that meant to you emotionally. What I want to delve into is, as a captain, I always like hearing what people say in the huddle before you go out. So some captains rant and rave. Some captains, we both played under Martin Johnson. He didn't say too much, but my God, when he said something, you listened. What sort of captain were you? Were you clipping the backs around the ear? Were you trying to bang a few boys, or was it just calm heads?
No, just calm heads. I think a team like ours, we probably get a little bit too excited at times and overplay it at periods. So for us, I think we just spoke about being relaxed, going out and enjoying the occasion and giving it a good crack and backing ourselves in everything we do, really, because I think we're a confidence team at times. So I think if the lads are confident, we tend to play well as well.
And on that, obviously we just talked about pre-match. Let's be honest, the first half from both teams was pretty diabolical, wasn't it? And I think it was 3-3 at half-time. So surely your half-time speech, Jim likes to call it an arousing speech, which is a slightly different definition of a rousing speech. But how was it at half-time? Was he pretty calm? He normally is, isn't he?
Yeah, no, always calm, always calm. The messages were just clear at half-time. It was just about keeping the ball and not letting them off the hook with our discipline as well. I mean, he's always a cool head. I mean, I watched that first half back after, and I was a bit surprised about how bad it actually was. When you're on the pitch, it doesn't feel as bad as it actually is when you watched it. But he was pretty cool head at half time, as always, and just sort of said, stick to your basics, look after the ball, and the rest will look after itself. And like I said, I mentioned it before, but I know we're a confidence team, and if we're told to go out, relax, enjoy it, and play a little bit, I think that's generally the way to go about it for us, and it paid off in the end, luckily.
We might come back to the Northampton and the games and the future. I just want to go back a little bit because we're talking about the emotional stuff, right? And there was the video clip and the photo. I think I posted it on social as well from when you made your debut and the kind of raw emotion that you showed. And I absolutely love seeing that. And not everyone does. I mean, but I was a player that played in that emotional state. But we're talking about emotion now, right? Because it's difficult playing the game where there's no fans and the kind of lead up and the energy that you're trying to generate. But let's just go back to when you made your debut. Bit of time for reflection. How many times have you looked at that photo or the video of you singing the anthem? Because it was quite spine-tingling, actually, to watch you and the emotion that you carried into that first game.
Yeah, it's, unbelievably special occasion for me. And I think the fact it all came, I think if looking at it from the outside, everyone sort of said it came really, really quickly for you. But I think the things that people don't see is you grafting away for 6 years in the academy at Saints and being loaned out to Rotherham, which isn't a great place to be at times as well. So to go from a year ago being at Rotherham to being at Twickenham and singing the national anthem, it was all just put into perspective for me, I think. And it's an emotional occasion, and it just felt like for the first time it was really starting to push on and get somewhere with my career. So.
Mate, there's no slight on Rotherham, mate. They're hard up north, and I nearly drowned up in Rotherham playing for Nottingham, mate. They had this second row in the Marines who thought it was play on to try and drown me. He didn't realise I was going to go on to be a Scottish legend, but mate, they breed them hard up there. Well, we may as well touch on that a little bit while you're here, because there's a lot of shit going on in the Championship and stuff like that. You mentioned your time there. There's loads of players, I won't go through them, that have applied their trade in the Championship. We've seen everything that's going on with them, and the feeder club, obviously Bedford being the one for Northampton. Have you got any views on that, about how you're seeing the Championship stuff unfold? Yeah,
I mean, it's a really difficult situation because I think the model of a lot, even Premiership clubs, they're not a profit-making business model at the moment, and trying to get those funds from somewhere seems to be a really impossible situation. So I think over the next year, those championship teams and those Nat 1 teams are going to be in a really difficult position, which is a shame, because you do see so many good players sort of establish themselves through those clubs. I think for me, the best way I could see it going about is them really setting up a partnership with some Premiership teams as well to offload funds of players, or them signing players on and getting young lads playing in the Champ on loan deals and perfecting their trade there as well. So I think that's probably the way to go about it. But like I say, rugby as a business model over the last few years hasn't been the best one.
Mate, you're right about that. It's not headline news, mate. You're right.
No, it's not. Oh, question then. So obviously, we've seen that Northampton have had a great link with Bedford. What did you do wrong to get sent to Rotherham? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know who I pissed off, but I was straight up to Rotherham, travelling 10 hours a week up to Rotherham. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed my time at Rotherham. It wasn't like I say, it wasn't the best place to be, but it felt like a proper rugby club. And to go for holding bags at your club and preparing the team to go out of the weekend to go and being part of the side and wanting to win stuff. Well, I say win stuff, wanting to try and stay in the Champ with Rotherham.
Yeah,
was something that was really enjoyable as well.
And just looking at it, so obviously you're one of probably the latest player to have done that, go to a championship club from Northampton or from a Premiership club, and then quickly make your way back to Northampton, play some unbelievable rugby, and then straight into playing international rugby. And you've taken to it like a duck to water, really. Did it help you? Jim said it was pretty hard in the Championship, and the way you play, you're an abrasive player, you like to carry. You've shown no fear whatsoever in whatever challenge has been put in front of you. You love the physical, right? So did it help you down there, or was it just a case of you'll bang anyone that's in front of you or carry hard into them and it doesn't really matter who it is?
Yeah, I think for me, I've always been the smallest forward on the pitch at times, so it was all about, a lot of it, rugby for me always came down to attitude and just putting your head in spaces that a lot of people didn't. And I think that probably got me through at times. And in going to Rotherham and sort of, where at times I think it's more physical than some Premiership games. So going and playing down there, I think really showed the physical side for me. And then I think the mental side of it was, I sort of went into the England setup and the Saints setup and was like, well, buddy, I was playing at Rotherham last year. I've got nothing to lose. I can just go out and enjoy it. And I know, like I say, when I'm enjoying it, I'm playing my best rugby as well.
Was drowning people part of the pre-match talk or not?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here, but
you can.
The pre-match talk every week was, this club is a shithole, but it's our shithole, so you better go out and work hard for it.
Honestly, mate, hey, I don't know if you class Rotherham as a northern club. I suppose they are, mate. It's up by Sheffield. We were just talking about the style and the way that you play. We obviously see it. It's out there for all to see. There's a few changes around the breakdown, and one that I think's, a real positive for the game right now. If the millions of listeners out there don't know what we're talking about, it's not a rule change or a law change. It's just they're putting more emphasis on the person competing for ball, that they need to be on the ball, and therefore the entry, that the clearers come in and clean the person on the ball. Because we've seen some horrific injuries around the breakdown the last couple of years, right? You've got your head in them dark places, the place that people don't want to be. A bit of frustration around the penalties and the penalty counts, but as a player who's in them positions, are you happy with these kind of law interpretations being thrust upon the players, or is there a bit of frustration there still?
No, I think there's going to be frustration in games because it's new and people are trying to get used to how they're being interpreted now. But I think personally it's a really positive thing for the game, and for us as a team means that there's less time the ball's in the breakdown as well, which at Saints really does suit us. And for me as well, it's more opportunity to get over the ball and get over the ball safely as well. So I think it's a positive thing, but I think obviously these first few weeks there's going to be some teething problems, and it's going to take a while for players to adjust and referees to adjust to refereeing as well.
One of the tough things to talk about at the minute, but is a necessity for everyone to talk about and understand on the subject. Jim spoke to Courtney Laws the other day for Rugby Pass about it, and it's just to talk about the battle against racism in rugby and how rugby is behind kicking all that out of the game. What were the conversations like at Saints? I know a lot of the clubs have done different things around making their stance pretty clear. How was that for you as a player, as someone that's part of the England squad, and for the club itself?
Yeah, I think at Saints, these chats were really positive, and I think this whole Black Lives Matter thing, the real positive thing is everyone's talking about issues of race, and no one's afraid to sort of speak their mind on it, and we are having a conversation now. I think what we tried to do at Saints was we didn't want this to become a divisive thing, so every single member of that team said that we're 100% against racism, but the issue was that taking a knee and the Black Lives Matter movement sort of meant different things to a lot of different people. So the conversation was around how we can do our own thing against racism as a team together, and sort of have a one rule suits all sort of thing, and show unity as a side against racism, without sort of associating ourselves with the negative politics that comes with it at times.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. I mean, I did a really, really interesting chat with Courtney, and look, it's a difficult subject to talk about. Not the fact that racism in rugby and racism in life should exist. Like, that wasn't the thing that we were speaking about. It was trying to contextualise and listen to different stories from different clubs and how the players had gone about it. And that was a big thing, mate. We knew when I did the interview with Courtney, mate, it's gone mental, the interaction. Of course it has, but it's one of these things, right, that where, and again, the same I said to Courtney, you're stuttering and stammering around the conversation like I am, because you're trying to talk about these difficult subjects and these difficult matters, right? So when Prem Rugby, when it all came about, was a case of Prem Rugby saying to you guys, look, this is how we think you should deal with it? Or was it a case that players like yourself, players like Courtney within the squad and the leadership group, and everyone can have a voice in it, could get together and say, right, this is what we're going to do. We saw that Sale did it differently. We saw that Exeter stood. We saw that, Gloucester did it, took a knee and half. Was it a case that you all got together and it was like, I know you just mentioned it then, but different for different players within the team?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, within a team, there's individuals, and you've got to allow individuals to speak up about things that they want to, and other individuals not to. So the conversation was about, like I said, how we can do something as a team against racism that sort of suits all, and show that we are doing something. We are showing that it's not acceptable in society as well. And everything we got from Premiership Rugby was about you're going to have the opportunity to do something if you wish, and conversation about what we can do and what looks best for us as a team, and what's going to be the most use for us as a team and in society as well.
And just with that, you've made your way now into the England squad, and you've worked ridiculously hard to get there. What was your pathway like through junior rugby? Have you seen any racism towards yourself, or have there been instances where you've had to pull people up? Has it been a smooth ride for you, or are there things that you've really stood up to over time?
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up experiencing it. I think most people of a background has just stuff that's said on the pitch at times. I mean, I came from a club where I was the only mixed race kid. There was no one else there, so immediately I probably looked different to other people. But I think my mindset was, if someone wasn't going to insult me about my race, it was going to be about something else anyway. So I mean, it's tough growing up, but I think a lot of that is internal, because I think as a kid you do realise you're different, and who's to say if I was a different colour, I wouldn't feel different about something else. So yeah, something I experienced growing up, and something that needs to be cut out and people need to be educated on. I think hopefully young players are seeing that as a Premiership in whole, that we're showing that rugby, there is no place for it in rugby, and hopefully young players see that, and they realise that, one, that it's not acceptable, and the kids that have experienced it can see that they're not alone in it either.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, Goody, one of the real positives is that we're actually speaking about it now, and we're speaking about these uncomfortable situations, and we're dealing with it in the right manner. Goody, do you want to piggyback that, or before I say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, that's exactly, what's needed for everyone now to realise that there's no place in society, rugby or work, or any walk of life for racism. So it's brilliant that it's been aired and people are taking notice of it, and everyone's sharing their experience with it. So, yeah, mate, well done.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. Let's carry on in the international vein. So Eddie Jones, right? There's a lot of talk around Eddie Jones. Well, there always is a lot of talk around Eddie Jones. Dylan's brought out a book, some kind of headline stuff's come out of that. I had a good chat with Courtney about it. But everyone's always interested in the mystique around Eddie Jones. I've actually really warmed to him, but I imagine the fact that he gave you your first cap, you've got quite a good relationship with him. How have the discussions gone over lockdown? Have there been any? I mean, is he happy with you? Is he looking for huge improvement? Is he pushing you? Like, how do you deal with him, and how's your relationship with him?
Yeah, really good. I think the thing about Eddie is he's so good at getting the best out of people, and for me, something that's got the best out of me. So Six Nations probably wasn't the most positive time in terms of, oh, here's a dog.
Hello.
I probably wasn't where I wanted to be in terms of selection and performances in the Six Nations setup. So I think before then, I probably thought that I was giving rugby my all, and it was 100% all my attention. And for him to sort of say to me, well, I think you've got more in his way, was something that's pushed me on again, and something that I think's got the best out of me. And like I say, he's always someone that's trying to get the most out of people, and he knows how to push the right buttons to get more out of people. So yeah, for me, it's something that's been really positive for me, and he just knows how people tick, knows people tick, and that's the thing for me.
And one of the big things that people have noticed, and I've seen it myself firsthand when I've watched a training session, it is brutally tough, isn't it, some of the training sessions? Do you young kids, now I'm looking at it as an old man that tried to avoid as much training as possible towards the back end of my career, do you boys relish that? Do you think, let's get right in amongst it? There's yourself, there's Curry, these guys that are just young, hard, lean, want to go smash people. Do you wake up every morning thinking, I want a piece of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, it's like you have that I think it's a Wednesday session in the week is a pretty minging session, and when you go out the weekend, you kind of, in the back of your head, you're thinking, God, I know these boys haven't trained as hard as we did on Wednesday, because it is that tough. So I think that the harder you train, the more confidence you can take into the weekend, and the harder those sessions are, the more confident you get again. So yeah, those sessions are tough, but when they're done and during, actually, there's such a buzz about the team, because you've grafted together, and you've grafted yourself, that you just can't believe that anyone else has worked harder than you in the week to pull out a performance at the weekend. Well,
that might bring me on to the next question that we've got, because there's a short turnaround for you boys at Northampton, but a short turnaround for most teams, actually. Now, I was listening to Austin Healy at BT Sport. He made a really good point, actually, but he never did contact in training, so it's easy for him to make this point. But as a young lad who loves it, right, you're clearly in that stage of your life where maybe body management isn't necessarily to top of the list for what you need for how it would be, I don't know, with a Dan Bigger, for example. So on these short turnarounds, are you loving it? Or are you thinking, wow, there's actually going to be some big demands on us coming up?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm as stiff as a plank of wood. So yeah, I'm on the big schedule as well, trying to get myself loose. But yeah, it's a difficult time. I think the conversation for us as a team has been around everything's, we're working with energy now. It's not time. And Boydie's got a plan which is really good about trying to keep the whole squad as fresh as possible and trying to get as much rotation in as possible. But I think those elements around recovery and getting right as quickly as possible in the week to go and train for the weekend again and prepare for the weekend is more important than ever. I mean, there's no going out on the piss celebrating anymore after games, because you've got to get your body right and turn around, get a good turnaround for the next weekend. So yeah, it's a difficult time, it's a challenging time, but I think at Northampton especially, we're blessed with a lot of squad depth as well, and a lot of a lot of young boys who can slot straight into those spaces as well. So yeah, it's a new challenge, but I think something at Saints that we're relishing.
Geez, the mindset has completely changed, hasn't it? Because my mindset when I finished a game was I needed to get on the piss so my body was okay for the next weekend. But then there we go. That's why you youngsters are playing for England and doing all you do. One last question for me then about Northampton, and Jim and I know this guy very well, Sam Vesti. As we played with him for many years at Leicester, aka the Bogey Monster, aka Red Balls. He's got so many nicknames, it's unbelievable. You mentioned earlier that Boydie's really calm, really collective, doesn't get out the hairdryer out. How's Vesti as a coach? Because he picks his nose and eats it. Tell me you got absolutely hammered for that on TV. And then secondly, he's got a very sort of shrieky high voice and gets overexcited, doesn't he? So how much fun is it working with him? And how are his red balls? Because they were very red when I used to play with him.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's been absolutely class for us. I think Boydie's probably had to tell him to keep calm a few times. So he's real calm in the meetings until someone drops out of the session. He's asked to be involved and he's whacking lads as hard as anyone else. So yeah, he's a fully involved coach, and I think his enthusiasm around attack and wanting to move the ball and take people on in the ball is something that's really passed on to us as a squad. And I think I know at times at Saints we don't get that balance right of knowing when to play and when to play a territory game as well. But to have that mindset of wanting to go out and attack teams has been a positive thing for us, and something that we're trying to find the balance with at the moment as well.
All right, Lewis, thank you very much for joining us, mate, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
No worries at all. Thank you.
What an absolute pleasure it was to have him on.
I tell you what, as well, it's really good of Northampton as well. I know we say that, and it's easy to say, getting access to top guys isn't easy, right? And guys who want to talk and guys who can be transparent. Northampton are brilliant. I did the interview with Courtney Laws about some really tough topics, and he was really candid with me. He was great. So I think it's a big shout out to Northampton. Obviously spoke to Sam Vesti. You speak highly of Chris Boyd as well. So it's brilliant.
And the one thing I will say on that, Tim Percival, who is their head of comms, director of communications, runs all the social media side of it. He's a brilliant bloke, and a lot of people could learn from that, couldn't they? Absolutely.
I tell you who couldn't learn from it. Bristol's. Have you seen their social media?
How good. Mate,
forget the pitch, forget Radrandra's 10-pack, forget their new stadium. Whoever's running their social media, one of the latest ones that I saw earlier in the day, the one around the Office sketch and Ricky Gervais talking through Radrandra's ridiculous offload. Mate, that social media manager, whoever's running that, mate, he needs to be Employee of the Month and get him a Lamborghini. Yeah. Because I'm pissing myself, mate. They're brilliant.
He's up there with the Barbarians fella as well, isn't he? He's great.
Nick, the Barbars.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and that's the way rugby needs to go, to engage people, have a bit of fun. I remember Dylan Hartley, didn't he tweet and call them out on it or something? How do you fans align with this or something, with one of the tweets around it being Bear Kingdom or something? Listen, I love what Bristol are doing as a club. We've had Pat Lam on here. Saints are doing the similar things with Boydie as head coach and Tim Percival, who's sort of head of comms there. It's great work from all the clubs that are partaking in mixing with the masses.
Well, Jim, we saw lots of sweating last week, and we're back again for a second week with Carol Vorderman with your special feature. Do you want to intro it?
Is she coming back?
She is.
She is, Jim.
Oh,
you're welcome. You're welcome, Jim. I've got her to come back.
Mate, she has. Gooley's got her to come back, and he's going to speak like this, so I'm going to do the intro to the riddle like this. Yeah, this is my segment. I'm speaking like Andy Good when he speaks to Carol Vorderman when she comes on. Riddle me this, Jim. Riddle me that. Jim will solve it. Carol, hit me.
All right, so there's a table which has got 4 legs. And around the table, there's one grandmother, 2 mothers, 2 daughters, and a granddaughter. How many legs, including the legs of the table, are under the table?
Oh, I hate these ones. So at a 4-legged table. So 1, 2,
I know,
3,
4. I know this is where it's going to go. I know, I've worked out where it's going to get him, Carol.
So 4 legs of a table.
So there's one grandmother.
Yeah, who's got 2 legs?
2 mothers, 2 daughters, and a granddaughter. How many legs are under the table, including the table legs?
Do they all have 2 legs, right? So it isn't a trick question, like one's lost a leg.
No, they're all 2-legged women. 2-legged women. You're allowed to say that.
Two-legged women. Right. So there's
I don't
four.
say the word women anymore. I'm never sure.
Right. So how many people? How many people are there? So there's a grandmother.
Yeah.
We'll say that's Andy Rowe. There's two mothers. That's Carol and Andy. And there's two daughters. That's me and my friend next to me. So 1, 2, 3. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'll be the granddaughter. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Plus the legs of the table is 10, 11, 12, 14. Plus the table.
The panic's coming now.
It is really difficult because it's like I'm under pressure. So there's 4 legs at a table, which is pretty normal. So that's a normal. So a table has 4 legs, right? Unless you've got a posh table like Carol or Goody, it probably has 6 legs as well.
Or 8. Or 8
if you've got a big one. Yeah. So 4.
We've got a lot of friends.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Wrong. I think you got. We've done one similar to this before, Jim.
Yeah, it's not a trick question, Jim, but it's not like dead straight. So that you've got to think about how many people. So you're thinking.
Oh, I've got it. What? Yeah.
All of those people are different people. That's what you're saying. So
no.
Right, but they're not.
Because it's this thing where they're all entwined into one. So it's like, so it's not incense or anything like that, is it? No.
No, it's not, Jim. But
it's more of a.
Which is a smell that you get at the altar, nor is it incest.
Oh, incest. Did I say incense? Oh, my word. It's you, Carol. I'm under pressure.
How many people do you think there are, John?
So, well, this is part of the question. So take the table out of it because we'll have the 4 at the end.
Yeah.
So there's a grandma, lovely lady. I bet she is. We've got 2 mothers. So I'm thinking that one of them is the grandma, right?
We're getting there, Jim.
Yeah,
right. Okay. God. Right. So one's the grandma. So that's only 2. Then there's 2 daughters, which one of them is the mother.
Yeah.
Am I right saying?
Yes, Jim.
And the granddaughter, which one of them could also be the daughter.
Yeah.
So right there. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 12.
Oh, he's getting closer, isn't he, Carol?
Closer. You're getting closer. Start again. So the grandmother.
So grandmother is 1, right?
Also
So
mother is
so
also a mother.
Is also a mother. So then there's only 1 mother.
Yeah.
Because obviously one's a grandmother who we've already got as 1. Then there's 2 daughters.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's 1 because one of them's the mum.
And a
2, 4, 6.
granddaughter.
And there's a granddaughter. Can she be the daughter or not? So 4.
Yeah, well, yes, James.
Oh, okay. So let's drop her then. So 2, 4, 6, 8.
Oh, they're so close.
2, 4,
so
6,
close.
So that's 3 people, yeah?
Oh, yeah. So that's 6. 6 legs.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10.
Yes.
10. Got it. See that? I told you. Thank you. I'm good at numbers.
Carol's having a celebratory fist pump.
I am, yeah.
I've done a similar one for that. I've done a similar one to that during lockdown on a quiz at home with, where someone walks into a room and you're shaking hands, but you can't shake hands because there's a virus. So I basically said 0. But no, thank you. I got it. Would you say I got that?
I'm dead impressed.
Yeah,
you definitely got it.
With help, Jim. With aid. Jim, you got it.
Thank you. Thank you. I should say, thank you very much, Carol.
Bye. I'll see you next week.
Great woman.
Great woman. Great woman.
I felt better this week. I felt better.
It's becoming more, you're coming used to it, Jim. So that feeling of nervousness has just got a little bit less. And you worked it out nearly. You worked it out.
So temptation, which you know about temptation, Goody, with your temptation of chocolate. Chocolate, yes, just chocolate. Temptation nearly got the better of me last week. Because I was that under pressure, I could feel myself going red because it's Carol Vorderman and all that, I was tempted to start Googling riddles, right? So to see what she could hit me with. Then I saw that with Carol Vorderman's influence, we went to number 1 in India. I thought, no. I said, why change the mould? Why change the mould? So Carol, you've brought the riddle and Jim has solved it. Because this is my segment, Carol. It's not your segment, but we can say it's your segment. Riddle me this, lads. Riddle me that. Carol Vorderman gave me the riddle and I just solved it.
One man who wasn't involved at the weekend and won't be involved this week either is referee JP Doyle, and we can have a chat with him now. How are you, mate?
Good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
JP, let's get straight into it, mate. What the fuck's happened? Mate, come on.
No beating around Jim's bush here. What the fuck has gone on? We're devastated.
We were going to talk about the games at the weekend. We were going to say what was it like to watch, but mate, let's just get it out there. What the fuck has gone down in Chinatown? You can't say China or I can't support Chinese, but what's happened?
Service is no longer required, unfortunately, due to COVID and the cutbacks at the RFU and the business of the business, I guess. Sport is sport, and we have to take our licks and get on with it.
It must have been tough though, because I know every business is going through that. But I messaged you in the week and I put a tweet out about it, and you can see the amount of love that people have for you around the way you referee games, your persona, the relationship you have with players. And I'm not asking you to say about any of the referees, but for you, it must have come as a big shock, did it?
Yeah, look, when redundancies are happening, and there's a lot of people going through that at the moment, you've just got to go through the process, and what will out, will out. Often you speak to people, and these are great opportunities to reset and go again. Of course, look, the best way I can describe it is it's very sad and sudden stop. I'd love to be doing a game this weekend, but there are great refs out there. There are other guys who can do the games. I'd only love to be out there for me because I really love doing it, and I really like being out there. The teams, the coaches, supporters, the support staff around the teams who I used to really enjoy being involved with. But the game will go on. There will be other people to do the games. They'll referee them brilliantly. The RFU has got a great setup. It's got great referees. For me, it's sad and it's sudden, and I feel gutted. But rugby goes on. Sport goes on. That's the nature. You guys would love to still be playing, I'm sure. If
No chance the way they train now, mate.
Yeah, but that's the thing, JP. Obviously, we started with a laugh, or else we'd cry.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you felt a little bit emotional. So that it's good to start the show like that. But I think, like Goody mentioned, we had a great chat during lockdown, and it's great that we can have that conversation with you. And I know Barnsley and Nigel Owens have done other stuff in the media, and having access to referees of your calibre. And it didn't seem like there was any chat then that potentially the train might have stopped. So it's
not back then. It was sort of redundancies. You think with refereeing, you'd kind of be immune to it. But the situation is what the situation is. I think it's been pretty public what's going on at the RFU. They're having to do what they have to do to ensure the future. The future of the game is far more important than the future of JP Doyle. And that's what we got to remember. We want rugby to be bigger and better and brighter and kick on. And rugby doesn't need me. I love the game, but the game loves nobody, as I heard someone talk about the NFL. It's okay. It moves on. You reassess and you go again. It is sad, but it's okay as well.
Yeah, so when you're reassessing and you're looking at the opportunities out there, I mean, I've done some commentary for the Guinness Pro 14, and there's a lot of talk about potentially, with your Irish descent, like that you could potentially go and referee over there. I know it's not a case of just jumping ship and going there straight away, but, there's talks of the refereeing potentially not being as good in the Guinness Pro 14. Is there any initial talks, conversations around that? Because I think, firstly, you're still keen to referee, right? You're not thinking... Oh,
yeah. No, I'd love to. I think the ironic thing is the last thing I did was a Bronco test. That was my last act in work, was to do a Bronco test.
Oh, mate, you should have missed that. I've got loads of excuses to get you out of those.
I love that stuff. So that was the last thing we did. So I'm good to go, but it wasn't to be. With Ireland and, Pro 14 or whatever it may be, they have their guys. They have their panel. And it's also run by their unions, and they have their guys coming through that they want to develop and they want to get better. Sure, if someone asked me to go referee something, I take a look. But for them, it's important to develop their referees. They have great refs. All the countries have international refs. They want to bring more through, so you can understand where they are as well with that.
So what does it look like for you now, the next steps? I know you've got family, you're based obviously Twickenham way, aren't you?
Sunbury, yeah.
Yeah. So what does, it must be a really hard but really exciting thing to look at. What does the future now hold for you plans-wise? Because I know you've got some plans in the pipeline potentially as well.
Yeah, well, that's just what's weird and what's great is the last 2 weekends I've been able to actually see people at weekends and go, yeah, okay, I can come across have a beer and a bowl of crisps on a Saturday afternoon, and that's been lovely. I'm sure that will wear thin. I was a school teacher. I am a school teacher before this, so I can go back into this. I would, if I miss out and I leave rugby, I would be sad. Maybe there's something in around the media I'd love to do, but COVID is contracting everything at the moment. So we're just eyes open, wide awake, see what we can find out there. But teaching is always I loved teaching before I came into rugby, and I still do. So we'll just see what happens.
JP, we've had this chat for Rugby Pass, and I absolutely loved doing the interview there that we did together, and so did the listeners, or the readers, however they consumed that interview. But what's it like being a referee? Because I think in any walk of sport that you see, the referee gets the brunt of everything, right? It's like,
yeah, rightly so.
Yeah, but what's it like? Go on then, you tell me. I mean, we had the chat, but this is the millions this is going to go out to. So what's it like being a ref?
It's brilliant. So you got to remember, there's almost two guises of a referee. There's one when you're wearing your uniform or your jersey or your match kit. There's a certain release valve that you are to the fans, the coaches, the players. And then there's the bit that a player sees you when he looks you in the eye. That becomes the personal treatment of your history with that ref. And sometimes you can not get on, but you have to find a way of getting over that. Sometimes you can have a great laughing relationship without having to say anything on the pitch or crack jokes, and you can just share a smile and laugh with a guy. For me, that's always been the best moment of the rugby pitch, was being able to share just a knowing, incredulous look when someone did something stupid and the player would turn to you and look at you and you'd kind of shrug your shoulders, and you're able to have fun without trying to make a big moment of it on telly or anything else. You could just literally have that moment with the players. They're the moments you really treasure going forward.
And sometimes, mate, with that, you just got to chillax, haven't you, JP? You just chillax on the field.
That was the famous one. The reality is, it was Paul Hodgson, and for those who know Paul, he's a very excitable character, and he just wouldn't calm down, and he wouldn't stop in my ear. And we were playing at Bolton, and there was football lines. We were playing at the Reebok Stadium against Sale, and I couldn't get him to relax about what was in the 22, what was out. And I wanted to tell him to fuck up, like, just stop, would you? And the only words I could find were chill and relax, and I somehow mangled them together and made an arse of myself. But he became famous for it, and Paul was just trying to be a good player, a good guy. It was just a moment. It wasn't meant to go live, and it did. And that's just you wear that for the next 7 years. Everyone says it to you, but so be it.
JP, these two lads, obviously characters on the field. You've got Goody, who used to have a fair bit to say, and then Jim, who used to cross the line on plenty of occasions. What was your relationship like with them? And do you have any memories of interactions with these boys on the field?
Yeah, this is the game that those two always go on about, which was, I think, was 2011, was Worcester at home to Gloucester, which both players were penalised in the last minute to decide the game both ways, rightly or wrongly, or whatever else it is. That was certainly one to go on. But Goody was always interesting because his mood was totally matched by the temperament of the game. So when he was on top, he was great, he was brilliant, everything was fine. He'd come find you, he'd lead what needed to be said, and you could just soak it up and relax. But equally, Goody, when he got annoyed, could be difficult, and you just have to turn your back. And I remember one time he probably had a rough tackle on him at Worcester one day, and I probably saw most of it, but I wasn't sure quite what happened. And because he gets up and yell at you, you kind of go, "Oh, I don't know, dude. I didn't see it. Someone was yelling at me at the time." So you can kind of have those moments. I don't know if you remember that one, Goody.
The blame game, Goody.
Yeah, it's always someone else's fault, mate. But yeah, I do remember.
Where Jim was always the bad puppy. He was always the guy who was put in the doghouse. And you knew every time you penalised him, the coach was going to jump up and down on his head. So you always give a penalty, and you'd almost be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Jim. You've just fucked up again."
You're just stupid.
You can't squeeze people by the head. You've got to calm down, man. And the froth will be coming, and the tattoos will be appearing, and you'd be like, "Oh." So forwards and back by nature are worlds apart, and in personality they generally are too. So I think the best thing the best thing on the pitch was to let players come to you and express themselves. And we have a lot of respect in the game. The RFU drive that really hard. But we love players chatting to us, talking to us.
Yeah, I still haven't forgiven you for that one for Worcester against Gloucester. The ball was out, mate. You can't give a penalty at the scrum once the ball was out. We'll let it go. We'll let it go.
It was dire, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Jim definitely piled Percival in the back, I think it was.
Yeah, well, that was right. Even though Ben Kay said he didn't do it, he nearly killed James Percival on that.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I have physical, mate. That was me. Just out as nails.
I'm going to say Dom, but there we go. Just tell me now then. Obviously, there's a lot of players now. Are there? You've refed in the Premiership since 2006, and yes, there have been players that always talk to you. What's it like now? Because the game is way more intense, isn't it, from when you first started? Your fitness levels have obviously gone through the roof as well as referees to cope with it. What are the players like, though? Are they as vociferous as some of us idiots were back in the day, or is it they're a lot more respectful and just...
No, they're different. They're, the next job environment, they're very focused on what they're doing. They're very tailored into the game plans. They're cracking on. They're unbelievably professional now. Like, even compared to 3 years ago, 6 years ago, 9 years ago, their level of professionalism, their skills, you can see it in their bodies. Not so much how much bigger they're getting sometimes, because that can change. One year everyone's getting bigger, one year everyone's getting leaner, depending on what the fashion is out there, the style of play. But there aren't many big talkers on the pitch to referees anymore. You got wonderful characters like your Tom Youngs or your Brad Barr, wonderful leaders. And someone like Tom Youngs, who's just an unbelievable guy, can put huge pressure on you. Scott Britz was another guy. I haven't said how happy and smiley he was. He would come at you really hard when he was upset, but he did it in the right way. You can have an argument with the ref if you do it in the right way. So the characters tend to be the more senior, older guys, and it was probably always thus. And the young guys are kind of keeping their head down, trying to work. Normally it's the scrum halves who are the most
annoying. Yeah. Annoying. We'll call them annoying.
I think what's interesting is players who come into the Premiership tend to be have a slightly different way about them than the guys who are brought up within the Premiership. That's one big difference I noticed. Guys who might come in from a Welsh club or an Irish club in the Pro 14, they might be more vociferous at times. It's just the way things are. And in the Premiership, maybe we're a bit more buttoned down in the Premiership at times.
JP, when you look back, not that it's over, and hopefully it's not, memories that stand out? I don't know if you've had much time to reflect, maybe during lockdown you have as well, but a couple of big, obviously, games, Prem final, Six Nations, World Cup, more than a couple. Any that stick out that you think, that one will live with me forever for all the right reasons?
Well, you can't have for all the right reasons, because every close, tight, difficult game I did, someone thinks I did something wrong to cost them the game. So if it's 80-0, I probably refereed really well. So if I asked all the teams, how did I referee today? Well, we lost 107-0. Oh, I think you did really well. Okay, thank you very much. If it's 14-13 or 31-32, you've probably affected the game somewhere along the way by a point or two, because that's the nature of refereeing. Nothing is black and white. So I kind of look at the whole experience rather than the one game, because it's unfair to put yourself in front of a game and say, oh, well, this game I did was really important to me. Because it's not, when I do a schools, I was lucky enough to do, say, a schools final. That game for those guys is the biggest game they'll ever play in. Yeah, a couple of guys will go on and play in bigger games, but they'll always talk about that schools cup final. So for me, you've got to treat those games with absolute respect, because that's their World Cup game. And even smaller internationals, you get the privilege to do, which might not be in front of big crowds. I did Germany versus Russia in Hanover, which was just a
big one, mate. Big game.
Big game. But for those German guys playing in that game, that was their everything. So why is that? Why should that be any different as a memory? But yes, obviously, big Pac Twickenham is selfishly, they're really nice days. But as the game of rugby goes, it's all the other games you're involved in.
Tell me you let Russia win that game. Mate, you don't let Russia lose games.
They did. Steve Diamond was the coach. I'll tell you, there's one funny story. So we're playing in Hanover, and there's one man and his dog at the game, maybe 30, 40, 50 people at the game.
Some snipers. Yeah,
Russia are winning by 85 points. And Germany have a scrum, and the scrum half's probably not putting the ball in as correct as he may be, but they're losing by 85. It's fine. Steve Diamond standing on the side of the pitch going, man, it's crooked. It's 85-0. Their scrum half actually put one in worse after that, and I blew a free kick, so I crooked in on the feed against the Russian scrum half with 20 minutes to go at 85-0. I thought Steve Diamond was just going to explode on the sideline. He's, I'm going to get you. And it was just a nice moment. 85-0. Russia went on to win, no problem. But
thank goodness. Thank goodness it did.
I don't think that had too much effect on the game.
All right, JP, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Best of luck for whatever the future holds for you next, and hopefully we see you back out on that field sooner rather than later.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Gertie. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, producer Tim. And thank you very much for listening as well. Don't forget to hit subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcasts on, and check us out on YouTube as well.
Rugby pod in India. India!
Pod.